Yeah, thank you, Neil. And thank you to the president of AAJ and secretary for giving me this opportunity to interact and listen the wonderful presentation by the scholars from Brazil to US to a different part of the country. And indeed, it was a great learning experience for me to know the science of this disease. I'm a social scientist, but I do have a background in life science. So I will not go in those aspects. I will talk that how when if a pandemic happen in a country or world over, how society respond to it. Because pandemic, when we go in the history of the disease, history of the epidemics, we find it is not only a biological phenomena. As very nicely our previous speakers have discussed what is the status, but pandemic has also social, psychological, and political and economic dimensions. And how these three dimensions are affecting. So when biological dimensions, here our scholars were discussing what they have been discussing about the understanding of the pathogens, that is virus, how it multiplies, how it entered in the body, what it happened, how it affected body. Very nicely our previous scholar had discussed. And how it is spread. They also tell us how it spread and how does it affect the body, what are the symptoms of an infected persons, and what are the diagnostic methods, and what are the treatments. Friends, when we see and when we hear the scientific community, we find that in none of these areas there is any clarity. There is a lots of ambiguity, uncertainty, sometimes contradictory statements are coming. There is no unanimity among the scientific community because there is a uncertainty still. So when there is a uncertainty about any disease, about the symptoms of a disease, then it is bound to create uh, rumors, controversy, prejudices, biasness, and also many other social problems that we have also witnessed. I'm giving that how the society responded when epidemics happen and what understanding they get from the scientific community. How scientific community had responded, have given the information, what doctors are saying, what government agencies saying, and how media is reported. So all these things are going to uh, decide that how a society respond. Now let us see about the origin of the disease. When this virus came, there has been a controversy, some saying that it has emanated from the China's bet market, their meat market. Then there was say no, whether it was the deliberately released from the laboratory or it was the accidental. Lots of controversy came, and when this kind of controversy came throughout the world, we have found that how the prejudices, some anger and fear have generated in the society against a country, against the virus thing. And then probably China also responded, no, it was the American soldier who came to Wuhan and they brought this thing happen. So this thing happened. Now come about the symptoms. When the symptoms were told that you have the sore throat, you have the cough, you have the fever, diarrhea, cold, sneezing. So people started interpreting differently. If someone just is sneezing, the people started running away, and all you might have seen in the media. And this has shaped the psyche of the peoples. And in that time, it also came that it is the airborne disease. So airborne, its virus can travel, can live in the air for 6 hours, 4 hours. But again, WHO came, no, it is not airborne disease. It only comes on the surface. If you come in contact with the surface where viruses are sitting, then you can do. Now you see the interesting things. Now I'm going to tell that what happened when this came with this thing. Of course, asymptomatic later I will talk. So when this came about, that no, it comes on the surface. So surface need to be sanitized. And you might have seen in the the media, in the TV, how it has been reported. Government started sanitizing the entire road, buildings, trees, bushes, footpaths, everywhere. If one or two cases were detected, then entire city bent on sanitizing, fumigating, and tons of chemicals were sprayed to sanitize. It seems that a corona bomb, multiple corona bombs have been dropped over a city, and corona are now sitting everywhere. So if you just go out, touch, and it will happen. So government started sanitizing the building, roads, trees, vehicles, and sometime you might have also seen that those man, they also throws the liquids on the passengers, on the crowds. Later, Supreme Court took it very, rebuke them that what you are doing. So government was busy there, and then people started sanitizing themselves. Sanitizing themselves, you might have seen there have been rush for stocking the sanitizer, and then everybody is just sanitizing entire body so that corona does not affect. And there has been the shortage of the thing. Government came, and many kind of things have started coming up that no sanitizer is not there. Similar thing happened with the mask. In the beginning, say that you require the mask, so people rush to the shop, medical shop, for buying the N95 mask. Then when there was a shortage, no, only the people, health worker, doctors, and other staff who are directly dealing, they require. So they said, no, you don't require. Even some doctor came, scientists came that those people who are no symptoms, who are healthy, they don't require anything. So now you see, there was no, so this contradiction came, there you don't require any marks. And you just require only your handkerchief, your towels, and homemade. So there was a huge rush for making the homemade marks started. People started doing this thing. Uh, Similarly, it also happened. Now it comes to the diagnostic camps. So diagnostic, when these things happen, then by this time there was already mistrust has been created in the societies. People hide themselves. They did not come forward, and some kind of stigma got attached with the disease. That if anybody come in contact the corona, the society is stigmatized. Then people hide themselves in their houses. They didn't go. They also run away from the hospital. They also misbehave with the health worker. So that's we have seen that how this kind of misunderstanding, and it is not only the people who were the illiterate, who were the uneducated, who were the poor people, we have this kind of mistrust has prevailed in the higher section. Those who were highly educated, even professor, doctor, they have this mistrust. And that's why the simple technology that Arogya Setu, when government launched that it should be downloaded, many people did not download. I talked to my students who were doing PhD. They are science student. I asked that how many of you have downloaded. They said none of them have downloaded. I said, what are the reason? They said, sir, it is a privacy issue. This government is stealing my information, this way, that way. They make all kind of excuses. It means that you see how much mistrust get created when the proper information is not. And this phenomena has WHO also gave that infodemics. So beside the pandemics of the coronavirus, there was the infodemics. So government, throughout the world, they have to also deal with the infodemics, that a proper information and knowledge is communicated to the public. And this what happened in case of India. In case of India, this kind of rumor, this kind of misinterpretation also created distress among the people, and they jumped to started worshipping the Corona Devi, another god we have created in the 21st century. With all our science and technology, with all our rockets, we created another god to create. Smallpox has created in the 19th century the Sitla Mata in the northern India, and Mariamma Devi in the southern India. During plague, Ola Bibi, so this kind of gods got created, and we have recently seen that how this kind of phenomena is spreading in UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Assam, and it is spreading to every part of country. So, friends, this is the thing that we have discussed now. What is happening in this situation? Now, let us see that where is the science policy comes, or where is the scientific community comes. I will just in 2 minutes, I will summarize. Why all this happened? All this happened, our scientists, given the resources, given the materials and other things, our scientists have done wonderful work, and they have been doing. There is no doubt, and we must congratulate with the limited resources. They have done better than any other country. But as Dr. Raghunathan has suggested, some other have also, I was just watching their things, that most of the publication on the coronavirus are related viruses. They have come from the abroad, in the Europe, in the America, and from the China, and very few study have come. Even the clinical trial that our scholars have been quoting, all they have been done there. Very few clinical trial have been done here. When we see it, it depends, all the depends on the scientific capability, what capability we have done. Given the disease history of the India has suffered immensely from the virus borne disease. But how many virologists in our country are there? I was just checking a figure. I was just checking a figure that how many virologists are there in the country. I didn't get the, but I was reading a interview 1 year back. The director of National Institute of Virology, Dr. Maurya, he is there. He said that India is in the huge deficit of the expert or virologists. We require 10 times more what we have the strength. Then I turned to Virological Society of India, that was established in 1983, 2 years immediately after when American Virological Society was established. So it has got only 280 members. And those 280 members, 165 members are plant virologists, and 15 are the animal virologists. They are working, and some medical virologists they have claimed, but most of them they are assistant professor. I think newly they have joined in last few years, and they are probably microbiologists. So when we talk about this thing, and in last 20 to 30 years, if we see, most of the virus have transmitted from the animals to human beings. So unless we also have the enough capacity to understand that how viruses are harboring in the animal body, as in this case, we have seen that bats are there, pangolins are there, then many other animals are there that have harbored this kind of viruses. So India needs a good booster for the virological sciences in the country, or capacity development in the country, more investment for developing the capacity. And of course, whatever the knowledge we have, our one professor, he talked nicely that it need to be translated, but we cannot capitalize the knowledge, translate the knowledge, unless we also produce the knowledge, because capacity to produce the knowledge come capacity to utilize the knowledge. So utilization depends on capacity to produce the knowledge. With these things, I would just stop here. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity, and thanks to all the JNU alumni for hearing it. Thank you, Neil, sir. Thanks.